tonight in the Austrian Tyrol. The final BMW IBSF bobsleigh race before Christmas is just about to get underway. We're outside the double Olympic city of Innsbruck in Austria, and we are ready to get our final two-man race of 2020 underway. Good morning, everybody, wherever you are. Welcome to beautiful Eagles as we get ready with 19 sleds in our entry today for the final race before Christmas, the 8th two-man race of the competition. I'm Martin Haven. John Morgan is joining me in commentary. And John, this Innsbruck track has produced some pretty exciting racing over the last 2 weeks.
Yeah, Martin, it's not hard to get down this track, but old start record there. Look at that, 2011. That could be in jeopardy today. There's a couple people shooting for that. Real quiet here. It's so slow. The track lulls you to sleep. Get on curve 3 with minute steering. We saw some people making mistakes there, and this is where the track almost lulls you to sleep. But ironically, you have to be so precise right here. Kreisel coming up. The Beijing track will have one of these. There hasn't been one of these Kreisels in an Olympics since 1988 in Calgary. Here we are, curve 9, long straightaway after 9 to 10. Now this is where it's a normal bobsled speed track, 3-corner combination labyrinths. A little tricky down here. Uphill section, look for the blue line right here. And that's where you'll see the athletes duck their heads to try and gain another 100th of a second. And yesterday we saw a few sleds separated by 100th of a second.
And some unseparated at all, and that's one of the things about this track is you get some very close racing. Well, Francesco Friedrich, the reigning champion, is currently our points leader from Johannes Lochner and Oskars Kibermanis. And Friedrich has had a near-perfect run so far. 6 gold medals from 7 wins. He's aiming for another today. Chatted to him yesterday after his race win. He was 200s away from the start record. I said, were you aiming for that? And he said, yeah, hopefully we'll get it today. He just loves that part of history. But he did say, Drieskins and Melbardis, who set the record, he said, they were big boys and they were in their prime then. They were pushing a light sled, so it might be tough. Might be tough in the first heat, but maybe in the second. There's our Jamaican team. There is Francesco Friedrich. Air temperature just about freezing, ice temperature a couple of degrees below. So be a fraction frosty this morning, John. It may be the second heat where the start track is up for grabs and maybe a new track record as well. But whatever, it's going to be a pretty entertaining race. Francesco Friedrich is always worth watching, and of course, everybody trying to beat him. Well, the news this morning is that Benny Meyer will not start. He was due to go away with Christian Huber on the back of the sled. Benny didn't sleep at all last night, pounding headache this morning. And these drivers take not just their own safety, but the safety of their crew very seriously. He said, I'm not in a fit state to drive. I'm not going to risk my brake man. So he has stepped out for today. So we got 19 sleds and a couple of newcomers at the tail of the field. Hans-Peter Hannighofer from Oberhof and Shanwayne Stevens from Jamaica. Race 8 of the two-man bobsleigh World Cup Series from the BMW IBSF 2021 season is just about to get underway here in Innsbruck in Austria. Brad Hall first up, Nick Gleeson back on the sled. He raced last Saturday. Big Nick, the paratrooper, in his 9th start. This is the 30th two-man start in World Cup of Brad's career.
Well, you know, ooh, there's a mistake. Push bar still not out. Oh, there you go. The track's so easy, it lulls you to sleep. The first guy coming down the track, maybe he didn't wake up early enough or something, Martin, but you just can't do what he just did on this track.
That is definitely how not to do it. You've got to have control in the little dink in turn 1. Last week he was driving his regular sled. This week it's a new sled that he's driving. This is built by the Bavarian company that also builds the new monobobs for the IBSF. So it's a development program project. Brad Hall with good lines down at the bottom. Nice control, good speed. World Cup best was a silver here in the race in January. With a 51.76, he's not going to match that. Corners 1 and 2 were a disaster. Well, they ran too far, and as The brakeman got in yesterday, Sam Blanchett. The sled skidded, they hit the wall on the first start, and that was their race done. And John, this is how not to do it.
Well, Martin, even though they had a 51.76, which is not a very good time because of this result, they're still 2/10 faster than they were yesterday in the first heat. So maybe we do have a good track. But you know, there's a good example how not to do it. It's just too bad that they're showing us how to do this at their expense. You couldn't, the only thing you could have done worse is maybe fall out of the sled. Crash the wall harder. You know, it's that's worth 3/4 right there.
Well, next up is Ivo de Bruin, 50th two-man World Cup start for the Dutchman, 34 years old now, 13th place in yesterday's race. And yesterday that equaled his best achievement on this track. And big Janko Francic behind him, 26-year-old weightlifting champion, 9th World Cup start for the brakeman.
You know, 6-7 years ago, when we saw the first World Cups of Ivo de Bruin, we really felt this guy was going to do something. He was finishing top 10s. Ooh, there's a drift and a mistake from a... He's probably been down this track more than any other track. But, you know, Martin, some people come out here and just compete for the thrill of the sport. Know they can't win, but Ivo, I was always thinking this guy has the talent to be able to medal, get on the podium. Just haven't seen it.
I think they all believe that with the right equipment, you know, everybody thinks if you put me in Friedrich's sled, maybe I had that chance. And, you know, maybe they're right. Maybe like Lewis Hamilton, having everything together is the combination.
Yeah, Lewis Hamilton doesn't have to worry about a start time. Friedrich is going to challenge the 9-year-old record start time. Lewis Hamilton doesn't have to worry about that. He's got to worry about his eyes and hands. If that was the case, Ivo de Bruin would be right there. If he had the same sled and the same start, Ivo de Bruin would be right there with Francesco Friedrich. But it's about the start, and I don't think we're going to see Friedrich make that mistake. Do you remember yesterday? Did Friedrich really make any mistakes yesterday?
Yeah, off 9, Friedrich is still having a problem off 9, and it was much worse last week, but here, Ivo a little tidier, but you see Friedrich,
look at Ivo's lines. Ivo's lines are perfect, and he's usually got something to say.
One more before New Year's. Love everybody at home.
What about Christmas,
Christmas
Ivo?
is a strange thing. Yeah, they've already had their presents.
They've already had Santa Claus.
Yeah, Santa Claus came weeks ago.
I've been involved with that, Santa Claus. Yeah, I've been involved with that.
20th two-man World Cup start now for Berzins of Latvia, 23 years old. 7th place in yesterday's race. And that's his best result on this track.
I think this guy's just starting to dial it up. I think he's got great starts, but he's just been in the twilight of the other Latvians, Melbardis and Kibermanis. You know, when we first saw him a couple years ago, he was fighting to make the cut, then 12, 15. Now he's constantly in the top 10. You know, Martin, he gets great start times. I think he's got a chance to, next year, I think we'll start to see him on the podium.
Second best speed for Berzins. 1400s back from our current leader, Brad Hall. Despite that start, Brad Hall has the lead, and Berzins does not get him. Is it that the fresh spritz has taken a little bit of the shine off the track? Is it frosting?
Well, yesterday he went 51.70. But yesterday he went 51.70. No, that was Melbardis. Hold on. He went 51.67. 67 yesterday.
In the second heat,
74. So
95.
I have to admit some weakness. It's a little perplexing that Brad Hall can crush the start like that, the start wall, and still beat the Latvian here.
Yeah. Well, think what he might have done if they'd had a clean start yesterday and today.
Yeah, he was 20 hundredths faster. So did he have a bad setup yesterday, bad runners? Still, when you do what he did at the first turn, that's perplexing. So get the computer, relaunch the computer.
20th World Cup start in two-man as well for Patrick Baumgartner, 26 years old now, our first ever Youth Olympic champion. Lorenzo Bellotti, his 5th season as a brakeman, but only his 8th World Cup start. So Bellotti, a recent addition to this two-man lineup for Baumgartner.
He's driving a red sled. Remember yesterday, wasn't he driving a blue sled?
Yeah, he was driving Brad Hall's, was it him or... Now, I say now you're confused. Is it him or I think Mattia Variola yesterday drove the other sled? We'll see. See, that's where we need video and writing down things on bits of paper helps also. 3,800 back.
That'd be too organized, Mark. We got enough in front of us. But Baumgartner got a 7th in the first event up in Sigulda. I was saying, wow, maybe this is another guy. The junior world champion, 2012, the Olympic junior Olympic champion, first ever junior World Olympics on this track in 2012. And we thought, there's Manny Mahara, the world champion from Germany in 2011, 4-man.
Whoa.
We have, that's
holy moly. Now the only
maybe
time...
he didn't like his run.
No, I think the brakes broke. Now, the brakes broke on the British sled yesterday as well in the finish area that shot up onto there. The only time I've seen a sled up there was it Stulnev, one of the Russian drivers, crashed a 4-man and they slid on their side through the station, obviously no brakes, and went straight up there and all the heads were wedged in against that rubber wall. Well, Baumgartner, again, John, it looked like a good run, but where is the speed going away?
Well, his start time is the 4th of 4, and I mean, he's 27. His nemesis is the start, and right now it's like, I don't like my run, I'm getting out of here.
Well, do you know what? The brakeman is still buried on the floor all the way up there. Normally, when you see them come across the line here, the driver yells and the brakeman is sat up and hauling on the brakes before you get into the last corner. And he is sitting up, he's trying.
He's trying right there. They're coming back.
I think their brake handles have just bent or broken off, but that's not helping their runners much.
No, they're going to have some work to do on their runners, that's for sure.
So a little delay now for Francesco Friedrich at the start. He won't get to start in his normal time. That was Anja Schneider-Heinze there helping with the sled, I think. Is that Anja?
Yeah. Former track record holder until yesterday. That's a former track record holder until yesterday. Yeah.
Do you know what? You still recognize athletes from their, you know, their walk and their presence, even when you can't see their faces. So little drama in the finish area for Patrick Baumgartner. What about the start area for Friedrich and Alexander Schuller? Yesterday, their second start was a 498. They're looking for a 496 or better, 499. It's going to be the second heat, isn't it? They are chasing the start record. Now, if they get anything like a good run here, the track record, John, might be in trouble as well.
Wow, 3,300's up. Wow,
normal service has been resumed, hasn't it? Yeah, absolutely.
Yes.
1.1 kilometers quicker than anybody at the Kreisel. And that's his first really good exit off 9 this week.
51.76. He's still about 2/10 off that track record, so about a 20, 25. 16.
51.16.
He's close.
1,200s
He was
away.
trying. He was trying.
Second heat will be faster.
But again,
both weekends.
Martin, the guy with the fastest start time, is leading the race. Is that a surprise in Innsbruck?
Well, he's also the best driver, so that doesn't hurt.
Well, you said if you put Brad Hall or if you put Ivo de Bruin in his sled and there's no start involved, do you think he'd be the best driver? I mean, that line right there, that's pretty good.
That's a barroom argument that will never cease, isn't it?
That's definitely a beer argument, that's for sure. But, okay, where does we fault him here? You know, I mean, what do you say? I mean, he's just dominating the sport. His back runner didn't even come off the ice. His back runner didn't come off the ice there. What do you think, Francisco?
Looks happy with that so far.
Isn't he going to tie the record today?
Yeah, could be. Next up, Sandra Michelle, 23rd World Cup start for him. Best place here in Innsbruck was a 4th place last Saturday. He was 5th yesterday. Ooh, drives it down from 1 to 2. Most guys don't kind of straight line that little chicane. I think he got away with that without hitting the wall.
Didn't have a very good Eagles opening last week with a 15th place in the second race. 4,400's back. Wow. She's struggling today, Martin. Yesterday, 51.63. Let's see what he does here.
Don't forget, the gap from first to second is 0.6 of a second at the moment. So he is still the second best sled down the track. And Francesco won by 58 hundredths over everyone yesterday. He is tied with Brad Hall to the 100th of a second. There you go, 7 sleds in, and we've got our first dead heat.
I'm still perplexed how Brad Hall achieved that time at the bottom of the track with that mishap at the start. That still really throws all of my intuition about this track off. Because, I mean, he has a similar start as Brad Hall. 5'11", Vogt 5'15", 400's difference. The technique, watch the brakeman's arms. Boy, I didn't like that. You see the way the brakeman jumped in there quick? Do you see where that sled altered a little bit to the left? I think he got in there too quickly.
I don't think he drove that line. It skidded that line, didn't it?
I think the brakeman shifting his weight caused that. It's so easy to criticize sitting here.
Super slow-mo really helps. Next up, Oskars Kibermanis of Latvia. Silver medalist yesterday. His best result here. 3 silver medals he's got now. 62nd two-man World Cup start for him. He's had 2 wins in Sigulda, and yesterday was his 14th two-man World Cup podium. He overhauls Oskars Melbardis in the 2-man medal count for Latvia.
5:06, 5:03 yesterday. So whereas Friedrich improved at the start, this team went 300 slower. But I gotta believe, Martin, he's gonna be our second. Well, he's 2,200's back already. Wow. So he's got to keep this below 30. Yeah, so he's hanging in there.
Friedrich turned it up to 11 this morning, didn't he?
Only 100's back. So now Kibermanis, he'll be the second place guy. That's perfect. Perfect. Nice back runner. Look at the back runners here. Now he's just like Friedrich. That number 12 looks a lot more. Look at him duck his head, 36 back, 51.52. Okay, yesterday he was 51.47. So that's reality. And again, he's only 36 hundredths off the pace in a sport that's very common to see. Normally, athletes separated by a 10th. And Friedrich's almost 4/10 ahead of him.
See the body language, he's frustrated, isn't he? He knows he's making mistakes and it's not happening for him. Even after 2 weeks on this track, he's still making errors.
All the way down the track, he was good, but except from curve 3 to 6, he went from 300s down to 2,200s down. So he made a mistake up there, someplace at the top.
Next up, Oskars Melbardis, 71st two-man World Cup race for him, 9 as a brakeman. Eggers Nemo behind him, his 6th World Cup start. So there's a difference between the old warhorse and the young muscle on the back. Eggers pushed for Ralf Berzins yesterday. Melbardis with 2 wins in 2-man World Cup and 13 podiums now. He's got 2 silver medals here. It's a neat start.
Same start that he had in the first run yesterday. Let's watch him in the entry to curve 3 here. Yeah, no deviation, no. You know, and again, look at the size, how big this man is. Now watch how he sits in that sled. His eyes are barely above the cowling. I make that part because we're going to compare him to the other huge driver, the German 3 guy who's coming up. And his head's way above the cowling. That's a rough transition there. .51.70 yesterday. 90. 71. So he did well. Everybody else a little bit slower. He's only 100th off.
Yeah, he had a skid from 6 to 7, which will have cost him a little. And
that was a better
down
run.
In 9 and 10. That wasn't a bad-looking run at all. He's just really dialing himself back in.
That could leave him in the top 5 when we're all said and done. That should leave him in the top 5. Well, huge, huge man. And again, look at how low he is in the cowling. I mean, that's a 6'3" guy. The Darth Vader visor on. Skid there, but still, I think that's going to leave him in the top 5. Got 2 more Germans to come.
Yesterday, so that would be a big
Top
step
6.
up, wouldn't it, for him?
Top 6, maybe.
What about Dominik Dvorak? He's had a very good season so far this year as well. And Dvorak with Jakub Nošek behind him again. 27th World Cup start in 2-man alone for Jakub. This is his 59th World Cup bobsleigh race as a brakeman. And for Dvorak, he started 2 as a brakeman in 2-man. Did a lot of 4-man braking. Now his 32nd drive in a 2-man sled in the World Cup.
5:13, They got problems. 5:13 yesterday, 5:14 today, but Martin, he was a better starter in the past. Oh, and he just did too much steering there at 3. Listen to the sound of these things, huh? Great audio. There's the Kreisel. .5400's 5th best speed. Perfect lines. 6,300 spec, so he could be a top 4 here. 7,000 spec, and yeah, 51.88.
It's going to be a tight battle again, isn't it? 600s ahead of Ralf Berzins and 1200s behind the tie between Brad Hall and Michael Vogt for 4th. At the moment, we've got Germany, Latvia, our top 3.
Well, the start, another mishap. Look at the size of the guy in the back getting in. And he causes that, Martin. He's getting in at the end of the drive line, and all this energy he's putting in to get that huge body in this little bathtub caused that skid. So we saw that yesterday. He might have gone 1 step too far, but
I'm not sure that Dvorak had his
sled.
Not sure Dvorak had his hands on the D-rings. The sled just went straight into the wall and he didn't steer away. Next up, Simon Friedli for Switzerland, 29-year-old, with Adrian Fassler behind him, making his 10th World Cup start of any kind. Friedli, his 25th World Cup race, but only his 11th as a driver. Took a silver medal in Sigulda in February at the end of last season. That's his World Cup best. He was 10th here yesterday.
Wow,
5:19, that's a decent getaway.
Not really, he had 5:12 yesterday, so 700 slower. That's 20, that's times 3 at the bottom, that's 2/10 slower than what he wants. So he's going to have all he can do to stay below 52 seconds.
This is Brakeman's first race of the year. And yesterday, Andy Haas having his first race of the year as well. So bringing in the new, fresh guys.
Good lines, but you start, late there. Late there. Watch the back end here. Yeah, the runner's in the air. Struggling to break 52. Yeah, way up. I mean, yesterday he was in the top 11. Martin, he's going to struggle to be in the top 15 with that run.
Yeah.
To be 4/10 slower, but he was 700 slower at the start. How are the lines, the spray? Just pretty good. That's a very good, quiet exit of the pivotal part of the track, curve 9. And then here, he gets up and he leaves it up there too long. It comes down a little bit, and then it comes back up in the outlet. You know, he just didn't steer there, Martin. I mean,
yeah.
looking for that Austrian shortcut, and he almost crashed.
I hope Brakeman's got the lucky egg. Yeah.
He knows. He knows.
That's not the way to do it. Darn it.
Some Austrian gave him some bad advice.
Francesco Friedrich, our race leader. First heat of race 8 of the two-man bobsleigh World Cup. Johannes Lochner, a gold medalist, a silver medalist, and a bronze medalist in 3 races here in Innsbruck. Can he turn that form around and move back up to the top of the podium? Christian Rost back behind him.
5:07 yesterday, 5:10 today. Again, our leader, Mr. Friedrich. He went 100 better at the start. So obviously he must have had a better breakfast than most. Hansi, 11th best speed. He better start improving those numbers. Now he's right in about the Kibermanis stage.
Yeah, he wants to overhaul Kibermanis, get back into the top 2.
Not going to do it.
Back.
He's going to be fighting for top
in the
4.
lower labyrinth.
Third, 4400s. Look on him. Kibermanis has got him by 800s, but Kibermanis beat him by 400s at the start. And he's only 1200s ahead of Melbardis, who I said would finish in the top 5. I believe he'll do that. I think there's one more sled to catch him. Hansi, I think, is getting a little bored with the Innsbruck track. Not enough challenge for his competitive instinct. You know, this track can lull you to sleep.
Ooh, that didn't look too comfortable. Good
exit. Just a little bit of carving of the ice. Look at these. Look at the Callan shake. Look at the pictures. That's Christian. That's Hansi.
That's Hansi,
showing a beard. And with a beard.
Yep. Next up, Mihai Tentea of Romania finished in 15th place yesterday. That's his best Innsbruck result. This is the only time he's raced World Cup in Innsbruck, so 4 races in 2 weeks. This is his 12th World Cup two-man start. Christian Radu behind him, making his first ever two-man start in World Cup.
Good technique, good load. 5:33. They had a 5:27 start yesterday. At least Mattia doesn't have to sit in the sled like he did last week, Mark. So after yesterday, obviously, whatever tweaked him last week was okay for him to push like he did. But short 1,200-meter track to be down by 3,500s at the start. Pretty impossible to overcome those odds. But good lines. You know, the young 26-year-old. Romania really likes his talents for good reason. He can drive. 120 off the pace.
So So 12th at the start, 12th at the bottom. He'll be trying to improve on a 15th place finish from yesterday. Finished in 20th place in both races last week, but as John said, he was sitting in at the start with a bit of an injury he didn't want to aggravate.
52.36 yesterday, Martin, or 52.04 yesterday, Martin. 52.36 today. So that's a big difference on a track. That's as quiet an exit as anybody's had. That's the least amount of carving of the ice we've seen. But maybe he's steering too much because well off the pace.
Well, we're running 3 hours earlier than they started yesterday, so we'll have to wait and see what happens as the day warms up. Next up, Mattia Variola, 10th World Cup race as a driver in a two-man sled for the former brakeman. And Eric Fantazzini, his brakeman, making his 3rd World Cup two-man start. His debut, Eric, was last Saturday. That was his first ever bobsled race. So Variola, 14th place yesterday, another personal best. I don't know how everybody can be improving. Back in the red sled, exactly right.
Red sled, 5:18. They're slower also at the start. Everybody's slower at the start except for that guy Friedrich. 5:15. He had 5:18. So let's see how he does with the Ferrari red sled. Tap there is not going to help his efforts. Ooh, really got on the take on there. Nose went way up in the air. That's why he came out on the right side of the Kreisel. 8th best speed, considering the start. Not bad, but he just threw it all away there. Ooh, late. Through and down. 52.19. Manny Mahata looks on.
10th place. That's a good first heat, and he's ahead of his teammate. He beg your pardon, he's ahead of Simon Friedli. He is ahead of his teammate as well, Patrick Baumgartner in 12th. So 500 separating the two Italians. Do get the feeling, John, that Variola is overhauling Baumgartner in the performance stakes at the moment.
Well, he's got better starts for one. That has a lot to do with it. Yeah, he's got a 900s better start, 800s better start than Baumgartner. So that start has a lot to do with your finish time. I might have brought that up a couple times. How's the ice carving? Not good there. Clear visor, and he's got a big skid going into 10.
Mattia Variola of Italy, 10th place after 13 sleds. Next up, let's see what this young man can produce. It's only the 6th World Cup two-man start for Rostislav Gaitiukevich, 5th for his brakeman Roman Koshelev. World Cup best for Rostislav, 2 4th places, including 4th place last Sunday.
Oh, so there's a guy that maintains his start, 5:05 in the first run yesterday. Same today. He had a bad first run yesterday, Martin. Moved up in the second heat. I think he had a mishap crushing the wall to start.
Now, last weekend, John, he was in the yellow and black sled with Ilya Malik. This weekend, he's in the white sled, and Ilya Malik is no longer on the back of his sled either.
Malik is with Stulnev, though.
Yeah, so Stulnev has got the sled and the brakeman that outperformed him last weekend. So the Russians are moving things around.
This is a top 5 right here. He could beat Melbardis. He could be 4th or 5th.
This is a top 3, 4th place run behind Lochner. He is ahead of Melbardis. Yeah, he's the real deal, isn't he? No matter,
this guy.
No matter what changes on the sled and what the sled changes, he is still outperforming Stulnev. In fact, he's outperforming most of the world. This is his 6th World Cup race.
He should have had a medal last week, Martin, except for the mishap in the second run. Here, he's got the start. Well, the equipment he's changed from week to week, but he could probably drive a garbage can down the track to what he's doing now. I mean, he's this guy's, look at how low he is in the cowling, dark visor.
And take a look at his helmet. Take a look at his helmet. Somebody in marketing at Red Bull thinks this guy is the real deal as well, and they have picked him up very quickly.
I agree with
Alexey
their assessment.
Yeah, Stulnev's got what we believe is a new sled, and he's got Ilya Malik behind him. 29-year-old Malik in his 29th two-man World Cup race, 47th two-man start today for Alexey Stulnev.
5:23 yesterday. That's not going to cut the drift. 5:24 today, and it's just like, you know, when you go out and want to play the game, you want to have the equal opportunity. If you don't have a start time in this track, you don't have an equal opportunity. Some other tracks you can get away with it, but Stulnev, with all his experience, he's got a couple fourth-place finishes in the World Cup. That start time just pushes him in a position of, he's going to struggle to break 52 seconds.
Well, Gaitiukevich started 05 and 09 yesterday, and he started 05 today with a different brakeman. Stulnev's problem isn't what's in the back of the sled, is it? He is not strong enough. 52.07, he comes down in 11th place. His teammate is 4th. There's a 42 hundredths of a second difference, or 4/10 of a second difference between them. And some of that, 15 hundredths, is coming at the start.
When Zubkov and Popov were the first initial successful Russian, oh, look at the way he lifted that up.
Yeah.
That's some inexperience. When the Zubkov and Popov were good, they were good because they had, you know, better than average starts.
Yeah.
Stulnev's start times, and he used to have a better start than this, Martin. Boy, that's quiet coming off that curve. You can't fault his driving. That's perfect.
We all get older, and he's getting slower.
Really?
Ilya Malik, by the way, I missed yesterday, the brakeman. Yesterday was his 60th World Cup start in 2- and 4-man combined. Well, the only Austrian sled in the field is Markus Treichl with Gregor Graboniat behind him. Gregor new to the team this year. This is his 4th World Cup race. All of them have been here in Innsbruck. For Markus Treichl, a 30th two-man World Cup start. Best here, 11th place. He was 19th only yesterday, though.
He's going to be 19th again, or 18th again today because of that start. You know, Markus looked a lot better at the start a couple years ago when we saw him break out. And, you know, he's drank the Kool-Aid, loves the sport. Talked about it yesterday. He takes apart his equipment, maintains his equipment, rebuilt his own chassis this year. But all that's for naught if you can't start the sled.
Yeah. He's had a couple of seasons
like
with niggling injuries.
If I'm sounding like a broken record about the start, it's just glaring here. It's just, the track is so mellow, so easy to get down, tough to get down fast, but you can't get down fast if you don't have the top 5 start.
Yeah, it kind of lays you bare, doesn't it? 52.45, 16th place, behind Mihai Tentea of Romania, and that will not please Markus Treichl.
No, he's 11 hundredths worse than yesterday's time in the first run. A couple hundredths worse at the start. His driving, look at his eyes, barely above the cowling. Great setup, look at those. Some guys wear the dark visors, some guys wear the clear visors. And the brakemen just put their heads down.
Katy Bal and Jennifer Onosanya raced yesterday in the women's race. Now they're humping the sleds around for the guys. That's what teamwork is. Francesco Friedrich, our race leader from Oskars Kibermanis, and Johannes Lochner, the same top 3 as we've had all the fortnight. 3 sleds to go. Race 8 of the BMW IBSF two-man bobsleigh World Cup. 30th two-man start for Lamin Deen of Great Britain. Ben Simons behind him, making his 14th two-man start. Yesterday, 17th place was Lamin's best result here in a two-man sled. There's
Lamin
final
is missing.
improvements.
Lamin is missing the four-man sled. You and I both know it. That's
Yep.
his passion. And the start.
Four-man season starts after Christmas, so hopefully Santa will bring him a nice four-man for the new year.
He's already 7/10 back. Sled sounds very rattly. He's had problems here at curve 8 and 9.
Coach Pete Gunn working with the guys all fortnight. He's on his way home now, so hey to Jackie, who's I'm sure watching at home. And Pete has been working with Lamin Deen and working with the Jamaicans as well. We'll see them in a moment or two. Lamin taking that low line to the line, 52.40, puts him ahead of Markus Treichl. 400s behind Mihai Tentea, so that's the battle for a 15th place finish.
1,800 slower than his first run yesterday.
Last jumper.
That's Ilko, the cameraman's Christmas jumper. It redefines the word nice. Well, smooth lines for Lamin Deen, but he just needs a little bit more juice at the start, doesn't he? And that's why four-man works.
He was cutting around the bottom of that curve. You saw that in the replay, that came around that curve with too much steering, way too much steering.
And the finish corner as well, we saw a lot of steering. Yeah. Well, hypermotion really helps the athletes as well because it tells them exactly what's happening. Second World Cup start then for Oberhof's Hans-Peter Hannighofer, the bearded giant. Marcel Kornhardt behind him. Second World Cup start for him. He raced in February in Sigulda with Max Illmann. What a load, look at that.
5:07 yesterday though, 5:11 today. And Martin, yesterday I said he was sitting up too high in the sled. And today he's still way up there too high. That's why I kept referencing how low the other drivers are sitting.
They haven't chopped anything out of his legs overnight, you think?
No, they haven't fitted him into this little bathtub. Of course, when you're 6'3", like he is. But, you know, Melbardis is his size and much lower sitting, and just his head's way too up. I'm sure they'll hear my critique and either send me a mail and tell me to shut up, or 4,900ths off the pace. He's in third place. Oh, wow, all that critique we did about him, and he's in fourth.
Yeah, fourth
and he's
place
only
run.
600ths back of Lochner. Only 100th off of Lochner.
Finished in fourth place yesterday, 500s behind Hansi. Could be a podium threat. But look at the way these guys get in together. You talk about synchronized.
Oh,
just look
cohesion.
at that. Yeah.
That's the best start. That's a perfect tag right there, those two.
And he's got control of the sled.
Yeah, yeah.
That is a lot of push start, push track drill there, really paying off. Final sled in the first of our two heats here is Jamaica's Shanwayne Stevens and Matthew Wekpe. The RAF Regiment gunner is the driver, started his sporting career driving RAF bobsleds. Matthew is from Jamaica's Rugby Sevens crew, and yesterday was his first ever bobsled race. Shanwayne has got 10 bobsled races under his belt, but for both of them, it's a second ever World Cup start. So the target clearly is...
Martin, where does Matthew put the egg?
Now, the story of the egg is they found the lucky egg in the snow, and they go, okay, it's a sign.
Well, they pulled it out at the finish twice yesterday.
Yeah.
And, I mean, there's just so much of what the Jamaican bobsled story brought to the sport in 1988. And it's great to have these guys out here.
And still, if you talk to anybody in any town, you say, yeah, we're here for the bobsleigh. For the what? You know, cool runnings. Oh! It's just the byword for bobsled. Everybody understands it. Ooh! I think Matthew had his head up a bit early there. Now Shanwain yells for the brakes. 53.13.
Yeah, 52.56 yesterday. He's got no problem stopping the sled. Half second slower than his run yesterday. But he was much better out of curve 9 than yesterday. Okay, let's see the egg. We don't want to see the replay. We want to see the egg, dude.
We'll get the egg, don't you worry.
There it is, baby. Here we go, baby. That's what we want.
Yeah.
Show me. If you can't win, be spectacular.
Hauls it off
that's
corner
better.
9.
Listen, that's way better at curve 9 than he was yesterday in those 2 runs. So somebody told him overnight, we got to get Matthew get down a little bit. His shoulders are showing up back there. See his shoulders right there? You can see him bouncing around. We shouldn't see him, so he's got to get a little lower in the sled.
Well, his problem is he's a winger. I was talking to him the other day. I said, if you played 15s, if you were a flanker or a number 8, you'd be used to getting down that low. But he's not used to bending over as a winger.
Yeah.
So here's our race leader then, Francesco Friedrich. Will come as no surprise that Friedrich and Schuller have the fastest start to the competition so far and the fastest downtime, but the records remain intact, at least for now. They're chasing a start record and maybe even yesterday's new track record. Yesterday, winners by 58 hundredths of a second. They lead by 36 hundredths after 1 heat. This could be a rout. So we turn our interest to Kibermanis versus Lochner versus Hannighofer versus Gaitiukevich and Melbardis, and then Brad Hall and Vogt. I mean, look at the battles. You just throw a dart at this and there's a battle wherever it lands. From the start to the finish, we will be battling for position. So the Jamaicans will go off first in the second heat here, the final heat in Innsbruck, and you can join us for the action at 11:30 local, that is 10:30 GMT. Until then, from John Morgan, from me, Martin Hayford, from the IBSF TV crew in Innsbruck, it is goodbye for now. Stay safe. We'll see you in a little over 1 hour.